the video you just watched was what Microsoft launched their recent global partner event with, and shows the power of Microsoft Teams, shows the impact on work and the benefit of a central interface for users. So today you'll get a glimpse of how that is evolving even further with the introduction of Microsoft Viva. 18 months ago, decades of work styles and cultures transformed almost instantly. What was the consequence of that change? Well, I guess for some it meant less travel time, more family time, but for others it certainly meant difficulties and pressures. And for most of us it meant a lot less contact and social engagement with our team and peers. That meant everyone was learning new ways to work, new ways to imagine, and new ways to solve. An example seen here from the global CIO for Coca-Cola referencing the goal of making work simpler, making it easier for employees to do their jobs. So the pandemic was instigating this greater need to think about how we serve our people. So Viva is touted as an employee experience platform. Understanding why we need one is probably a great start. So let's take a look at some recent research studies that have helped shape the understanding of why something like Viva might be important. In 2020, when a lot of these studies were done, the Microsoft Work Trend Index being one of those, nearly 60% of people say they feel less connected to their team after shifting to that remote work. The Qualtrics study, nearly 70% of employees reported higher stress levels and 40% experiencing decreased mental health. Previous to the pandemic, in 2019, CEOs worldwide were worried about the lack of essential skills and how that would impact their growth. And then we had studies by Deloitte that are saying that employees really only have about 1% of their work week to focus on learning new skills. Not quite sure how we measure 1%. It's certainly a small amount of time, but I guess when we balance that with the LinkedIn Learning report that said 94% of employees say they would stay at a company if it invested in their learning and development, then all these numbers are quite large numbers, and I think while statistics can sometimes be questioned, I think the enormity of these numbers and the impacts, if not addressed, are something we need to consider seriously. So what is an employee experience platform? Well, I guess today there are a lot of vendors focused on employee engagement and well-being, but they're mostly point solutions. So they look to solve one or a few of the needs that you see here on the screen in separate experiences, and they're all a bit disconnected from where people actually go and do their daily work. So Microsoft's vision is a little bit different to that. The Microsoft vision for Viva is an integrated employee experience that brings together all those resources that we just saw into the natural flow of everyday work, putting people at the centre but bringing together the systems of work and the systems of support in one place. Connecting that knowledge, the skills, etc., helping people leverage the full breadth of the Microsoft 365 platform that a lot of people these days have licensing to, and also doing it within the right compliance, security controls so you can protect your own data. So what does Viva do? I guess Viva brings together communications, knowledge, resources, learning, insights, all these things into an integrated experience, and it consists of 4 primary services. So we have culture and communications with Viva Connections, productivity and wellbeing with Viva Insights, skilling and growth with Viva Learning, knowledge and expertise with Viva Topics. And as you can see on the screen here, these are all integrated directly in Microsoft Teams, as the screenshots show. Now, today we're going to cover all of those 4 modules, but with a little more attention on a couple of these, because Connections and Viva Topics are available to you today. Insights and Learning will be released this season, this spring, so right around the corner. Haven't got a specific date on those, but it's very close. And so before I go through each of these, it's worth mentioning that in this session also, we'll be recording this session, and we'll send you a link to the recording afterwards. But if you do have questions as I go through this, please pop them in your go-to panel, and we'll see if we can get through them at the end, and if not, follow up certainly after today with you. So we'll jump into Viva Connections first. Okay, Connections is a gateway to personalised news. It's a gateway to personalised news, to communications, to tasks, to people, resources, I guess all in a pre-configured app in Microsoft Teams. Connections also provides you with this launchpad into the other 3 Viva modules that we just touched on as well. Now today in Microsoft 365, there's already a lot of capabilities for employee communications and engagement. And I guess Viva brings all of these together in a company branded app. So it builds on those existing 365 capabilities, things like SharePoint and Yammer, and can integrate into apps across your digital workplace. So not necessarily just Microsoft apps, but also other things. Perhaps as an example would be ServiceNow, for example. It's also terrific for both office workers, home workers, and frontline workers, as you can see from the different devices shown here. What you're looking at now is your SharePoint Intranet, your SharePoint homepage, available as an app in Microsoft Teams. So this is an example for a company called Relic Cloud. The Connections app is pinned here to the left side navigation here in Teams. And what you see in Viva Connections is personalised for you, based on your role, based on your location, etc. It's available now with a limited feature release, embedding your SharePoint Intranet in Teams, but powerful stuff is right around the corner. So this mobile app, which is due in September, October sort of timeframe, comes with a dashboard for actions and reminders. We've got a feed for personalised company news and information, and also resources for where we link to other things like Viva Learning, Viva Insights, etc. So the feed is personalised with relevant news. You can keep up with important announcements. You can join online conversations with Viva. There's seamless integration into Yammer. So you don't have to jump around different apps to catch up on key communications. What I like about the feed is it presents content that should be of interest to you and featured conversations from teams that make it relevant. And this is really powerful and helpful in removing unwanted noise that comes from that over communication, right? We all have enough to digest at work. So in addition to the news and conversations, as I mentioned, you have a dashboard, and Connection gives you this personalized dashboard. It gives you one place to go for key tools, suggested actions or to-dos like the ones you're seeing here. There's health checks, time off requests, and resources for wellbeing and learning, like this reminder to take a break coming from Viva Insights. There's the aspect of things coming here from LinkedIn Learning. You can see other elements coming from, stock prices, reminders, reports, etc. So a really neat interface for the users in that mobile app and that desktop dashboard. And you can tailor the experience for every role. So for example, you can add things like shifts and tasks that are specific to frontline workers. So they'll see that different experience, like the gentleman on the right, compared to maybe an office worker, like the lady on the left here. There's a Viva Designer that allows you to tailor the dashboard. This is a quick snippet of the designer. You can choose what actions occur when someone interacts with the cards, and you can decide the size of the cards that are displayed. So sort of this half screen width versus full screen. We can choose which Microsoft 365 apps or other vendor apps, or maybe even just web links that we want to connect to and display in that dashboard. And we can also choose which audience we're targeting, right? So that not everyone sees the same cards. So if you haven't started your Viva journey yet, we can help you get underway so you can begin your experience like this one. And then also look to take advantage of the cards and dashboards arriving in the next couple of months. And I'll share a little more on how to get started at the end of the session today. But now let's jump over and step into Viva Topics, the second component. And while Connections is about communications and actions, Topics connects people to knowledge and expertise within the organisation. So a very different use case. What we have is artificial intelligence, and it's clever enough and detects both knowledge and experts in your existing content and your existing conversations. So a topic could be identified as something like a project, a product, a process, or maybe even a customer. Basically anything that's a focus for knowledge in your organisation. Now the cool part is that AI is automatically creating these topic pages. And these are like having your own Wikipedia pages, But the cool thing is you don't have to rely on people to do all the initial heavy lifting, creating those. A big part of that job is done already for you. So we all know a lot of learning is done on the job, you know, with those perhaps more experienced, working with our peers. So the goal of Viva Topics is to connect you to knowledge and experts right when you need it. When you come across an unfamiliar topic or an acronym, you just hover over the topic card, and it gives you a summary of what you need to know. So this is in your flow of your work, as Microsoft like to say, right here in Microsoft Teams. But we also see those same hover cards in Microsoft 365 Search, Outlook, and SharePoint as well. So if I just dive in a little bit deeper and click View Details here, the topic page gives you more details, including definitions, relevant people and resources from all across Microsoft 365 and external sources as well. And when you still can't find what you need on that topic page and you have a question, you can just ask. So we've got this Viva's Q&A service that will call in an expert automatically, and we get responses there from the people that they know is an expert in these topics. And the next time when the question is asked, Viva will have learned the best answer and be able to immediately respond on what it learns. You can also see here we have a map of related topics. So we can navigate our learning without having to randomly search for underlined words right in our content. You know, that would become quite tedious if that's the only way we could do it. So we can use a map a bit like a table of contents, right? So we were in Project SOAR, we were in the topics page there, but this sort of shows, hey, geothermal and partners are maybe connected, or data visualization, and I can launch my way through those related topics and learn more to help me with my knowledge. So let's just jump off the topics page and let's take a look at the topic center. So we can go up here to home. And the topic center gives you a personalized view of topics. And of course, you only see the topics and resources you already have access to, right? And so it respects that privacy and permissions you already have in your platform. But we can, you know, see that there's topics coming through from different areas, news posts, individual shares, content from topic pages already. And if we click here on manage, just dive into that, and we can see things like history and status among topics, like things that are already published here. We can review and approve the knowledge we want to spotlight as well. So we're looking here, sorry, at the suggested topics, and so we can see ratings to help prioritize and which topic pages get created and approved. So that's really neat. We can also emphasize more critical content that comes on a page through this sort of pin type experience that you might be familiar with that we'd see in 365 already. We're highlighting the Rainier project overview, but we might want to pin the project status report as well and give it more emphasis. What's cool is it also allows users to opt out if they aren't really the expert on a topic. So I might have asked a lot of questions around maybe something like ATNA here. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm the guy who's necessarily the expert on it. So that comes through and I can say, hey, no, remove me. I don't want to be referenced on that topic page. But it's saying, hey, you've been called out to be referenced on Microsoft Search as an expert. Yep, definitely that's me. Lock me in for that one. When you're building those sites, maybe SharePoint sites, for example, we can use things like hashtags that can be dropped on the page that specifically guides people to the topic pages that are available as well. So that's just a quick example of something like that. What's important, I think, is we don't always want to share knowledge with everyone in the organisation. We want to be a little bit mindful sometimes where knowledge is up to, and you know, in our repositories. So we can also exclude knowledge sources from being added to a topic page. At the moment, this screen's saying, hey, all sites are being sourced, but we can say only selected sites, or we can exclude topics by name, different things like that that we might want to control what we're presenting back to our people. So look, while all the focus on those images has largely been around Microsoft Teams and a little bit of SharePoint sites there, we know things like Outlook is still a commonplace for communications. And as you can see here, you still get that nice same benefit of the topics coming through and these hover cards coming up, even inside Outlook. And as I said, Microsoft 365 Search as well. So let's jump over and move on to module number 3, Viva Insights. This is one of those tools that's coming just around the corner, and Viva Insights provides visibility into how work is happening and also the impact on productivity and well-being. So if we go back to those statistics and those surveys at the start, this aligns really nicely to that. And I know this is really popular with a lot of organisations that have had that shift to remote work. Now, Insights does this by providing data-driven insights for individuals, managers, and leaders. So 3 separate and distinct views. So when we think about a combination of the workplace productivity and employee well-being, look, largely we're looking for ways to achieve a balance for our people in a way that also improves overall business outcomes. So, when people are at their best and in their best state of mind, they're going to be more productive. And Viva helps achieve this by investigating habits and then providing recommended actions. So the insights and recommended actions come from data from everyday work that's already happening in Office 365, meetings, conversations, activities, and they're personalised based on whether you're an individual manager or leader, and deliver action plans and suggestions that can be customised still. So if we just take a look at the individual insights here, this helps you work smarter with tips and tools right inside teams. It's like having a life coach, helping you think about ways to be your best at work. And employees get these insights that help them protect their time from breaks, focused work, and learning time that all help improve with that productivity and well-being. Now look, to ensure your privacy, your personal insights are only available to you. Okay, so managers, admins, leaders in the organisation, they get generalised insights, but insights that are still useful. And like all Microsoft Viva that we've touched on, Insights is accessible in Teams and across devices as well. But let's jump in just quickly and take a quick look at the manager's view. So for managers of teams, the Insights apps has this My Team view that uses data to help managers and their people. So for example, insights on after hours work, things like meeting overload, maybe too little focus time for certain individuals, perhaps across the team, helps managers better understand and support their teams in a way that they previously may not have been able to recognise. For leaders, there's a My Organisation view. So the org view provides insights on things like employee engagement, effective managers in the business, meeting culture, customer focus, for example. It helps with work culture awareness by providing data on how work happens, and when we see, and we can see the list of areas, I guess, on the left-hand side here that might be important to organisational leaders, executives, or possibly those in charge of people and culture. So again, this isn't the sort of thing that they've had easy access to historically, and provides us an opportunity to think and solve differently. All right, and the last module in Viva is the Viva Learning module, and this helps bring learning and attention a little more front and centre to the organisation. I guess it's a central hub for learning in Microsoft Teams with AI that recommends the right content to you at the right time. So learning allows employees to easily discover learning content, and it also allows your managers to assign and track that training progress. So it brings together content from LinkedIn Learning, Microsoft Learn, as an example, your own organisation's content, and training from leading content providers like maybe a Skillsoft, Coursera, etc. And Viva Learning also works with leading learning management systems like Cornerstone On Demand, SAP SuccessFactors, and others, which I'll share with you shortly. So if we take a look inside Viva Learning here, you can see that Viva Learning helps really bring all this learning together into Microsoft Teams in that one place. And we can see it being presented from various sources. So we have our own content here, for our Rally Cloud content, maybe some PowerPoints we've created. There's something coming from Microsoft LinkedIn Learning here, Microsoft Learn here. We've got LinkedIn Learning up the top left, and other third-party providers. An example, this one here, edX, that Viva's integrated with. So it's really easy for people to find, share and discuss learning. We can drop recommendations just like here you're seeing straight into chats. We can assign learning, recommend it to colleagues and team members. So as Microsoft likes to say, right now, natural flow of work, we can jump right into learning. And we can look a little more into this LinkedIn Learning course here on remote projects and decide to launch right in. If I take a look at that, when we open a course from LinkedIn Learning, what's nice is it plays right inside Teams here. So it's still easy to access our chat and our activities and address those notifications when they come up, but I've stayed right within this Teams interface. So Microsoft have taken a platform ecosystem approach, which I think is great. We know it makes sense to extend on existing investments and making them available in this modern experience is pretty cool. These are some of the partners that Microsoft have already announced. And so you might be working with some of these already. Obviously, a number of the aspects come from the existing 365 platform. But later this year, Microsoft also intend to make APIs publicly available, so you can integrate Viva with other providers as well. So if you've not seen one there that you work with, there will be an opportunity in the future to bring that into play as well. Okay, so a quick summary. I guess Connections was all about that communications side of things. We've got Topics that was more about that knowledge and pushing knowledge out to people. We have Insights, giving individuals, managers and team leaders data around that well-being and productivity space, and the Learning helping us get our skills into a central flow and a little bit more driven towards us and easy to access there. So they're the four main modules. I just want to spend a little bit of time. I'm conscious of we've only got 30 minutes today, and it's a quick introduction to Viva today, but I do want to give you 5 quick tips on how you can get started. So you can really get started with some very simple effort. A few hours will help you begin your journey. Okay, this isn't something that needs to take days and days. We can jump in with some pretty basic activities to start with here. Now, the first one might be add your SharePoint Modern Home site to Teams with the Viva Connections app. The first release of Connections is relatively simple. So, get your users used to seeing that modern SharePoint Home inside Teams if you haven't done that already, and get used to working with that Viva Connections app in the guise that's been released today. Something that I like and talk to a lot of organisations about and consult with them on is the Yammer side of things. If you don't have Yammer in your current home site, then I recommend adding Yammer communities into your SharePoint home site. Now, if you want to connect with me to discuss tips for adoption, I'm happy to do that. Some of you might be wondering, why do I need Yammer when I have chat in Teams? Well, I'd say they are better for different things. So not to dwell on it today, but if you think Yammer, think broadcast, broadcast sharing activity versus more activity-based conversation that tends to happen as we work inside Teams. So it's not black and white. It is a great topic, but happy to connect with anyone and talk through that and share how other organisations advantage of having Yammer in their home site. With topics, start thinking about your topic use cases and start thinking about who you need to speak with in your organisation to identify the best use cases. Obviously, knowledge managers, product managers, people in charge of education, all those sorts of people are really relevant, but have a think about how it works for you and how it can work for you and the right people that you might need to influence around that. Topics is available, so that is one that you can get started and move immediately with. Another one here, I think, is confirm which of the apps in this ecosystem that have been announced already are in use by your company. And then start thinking about how that blends and gets used in these 4 Viva modules. And finally, I'd say talk to Professional Advantage, connect with me and the team here at PA about your Microsoft 365 and Viva goals. So some of you might not have a SharePoint Modern Intranet already, and that might be something that you want to look at to make use of Viva Connections. You might need assistance with Teams enablement or adoption, or want to get a little bit more use with things like file migrations, document management, Power Platform, or if it's specific to Viva planning, all this stuff comes together. So reach out and connect with us, and we're happy to chat to you around those things. And we've got an offer that allows you to do that. I'll cover next. But just in terms of how it comes from a pricing perspective, look, Viva Connections, the subscription's included. Viva Topics is and Insights and Learning, currently all $4 is the pricing that I've got access to at the moment. And these are per user per month add-on to any Microsoft 365 subscription plan. And of course, there will be general availability on pricing that we can communicate in Aussie dollars to you as well. There is, at the end of this webinar, we've got this sign up for a 1-hour discovery call with us where we can talk through all those tips and tricks that we just shared. So that'll be available to you in the survey. There's a survey at the end. Check the box and we'll follow up with a phone call over the next couple of weeks and help you understand next steps a little clearer for your specific use cases in your organisation. But look, certainly I do hope you got something out of this short introductory webinar to Viva Connections. I think it's a really great tool, really excited about what we have access to now, but more so what's coming just around the corner. Fill out the survey. Please let us know if there's anything else that we can do to provide better webinars to you. We love the feedback, so hopefully you've enjoyed it and we look forward to catching you again on our next one.